Ooh, this is exotic. Muscle Cat Media. Nice. Cultural.
Pickoff time on the Expats as we do on a Friday with one minor change. I mean, maybe a major change because it's called the weekend pickoff and you usually come here for tips, but there's no spoon. So we're going to do something different at the end of the episode because we don't know how to land the plane without him. So hopefully we don't lose any passengers. But Eric is with me on a Friday. Eric, hello.
What do we do?
I don't know. I feel like I'm in a glass cage of emotion. Case of emotion? Cage?
Glass case, yeah. I'm lost. And I mean, luckily you can follow tips on our website and they've been good lately, but you didn't even do that today. Where is he?
I think he's buying a pub.
He's buying a pub?
I don't think he is. I think the group that he is involved in is purchasing a pub in Port Elliot, I believe. Maybe I've said too much. I don't know. We'll probably have to get rid of all of this. The ACCC is probably going to investigate Baseball Expats for collusion or something.
Next week, actually, I am going to be at Australia's most remote pub, certainly one of them. They certainly do have some advertisements about that. It's one of the oldest pubs as well, the Beltana Pub. Go have a Google of this place. It's in the middle of nowhere, closed in 1959, reopened last year. Beltana Pub.
In Tasmania?
No. In SA.
Well, there's one in Tasmania as well.
Oh, well, I'm not going to the Tassie one, which would be pretty remote.
You're going to the one in Beltana.
Yeah. Population.
Imagine that. I don't know.
Not much. I'm going to Google
Population, not much. Hello to our listeners in Beltana, South Australia.
The 35
it looks
people.
It looks like an old pub that closed a long time ago and opened up a year ago. That's what it looks like.
So the population is 26 residents in its last census.
Love that.
I'll let you know how it is. I'll have a beer for you.
Yeah, and you'll make up some excuse as to why you can't be on the weekend pickoff because you're in fucking Beltana, South Australia. A few things before we get off on too big of a tangent. Is there anything better and more satisfying? Look, in relationships, as you get old, there's two types of people in every relationship, I feel like. You've got the spender and you've got the saver. I don't like to spend a lot of money, right? Claire does that for me. Hello, Claire, if you're listening. But just earlier today, I got a brand new pair of sneakers.
Ooh, those
I don't know
look
if you can
good.
see these. But is there anything better in life as an adult than just opening up a crisp, fresh new box of runners and just giving them a smell? I'm not even going to use them to run in. I was just like, I just want a new pair of sneaks. Wearing them around the house. I feel good, man. I feel good.
Dude, it's so good too, especially when it comes from after like wearing out your last pair of sneakers. Because that first run you go in it feels a little weird. Oh my, you're holding up just manky pair of sneakers. Those look like they've done some digits though.
These have done some Ks.
But
I don't know if they're going to do any more Ks, walking or running.
Wait, have you gone on a run in the new kicks?
No. They're not for running.
Oh man, dude, though. But on the running one though, how good is that feeling when you wear out your old running shoes and you just like reduce your time by a few fractions because you got those new shoes, whether it be the actual shoe or the confidence, or you have a bit more. You know what I mean? Like that little new shoe kick is like that is a satisfying feeling.
These are the. This is shout out to Believe in the Run, who is I don't know if you've ever watched any of their YouTube content, but they do like really in depth running shoe interviews.
I do,
and dude, it's incredible. These are the Asics Super Blasts, I think, and these are the Asics Nova Blasts, which are technically a downgrade. Bigger fan of the Nova Blasts, I must say.
I've got some Asics too. They're good shoes.
I don't need all the fancy tech. Anyways, look, I just I feel good because I got my new kicks on. It's a Friday. Vibes are high. Been doing a lot of life admin today. It's been one of those days where, you know, you feel your age. So it's nice to get on and talk a little bit of baseball.
Dude, before we go to baseball, you do have me thinking about how, like, now I'm just thinking about all the new smells and new things that are amazing. Like, should we have a business idea where we create a sensory room and you walk in and all you do is you get that new feeling, new smell of all these things. So maybe you get transported there in a new car smell. You open up the door and you're presented a new box of shoes. You open up the box of shoes and somebody hands you a new, fresh pack of tennis balls that you get to open and you get to pop. Meanwhile, someone's baking a fresh loaf of bread around the corner that they take out, and you can smell the fumes and it's warm.
Cracking open an ice cold Pepsi Max.
Oh my goodness. That first
gracious.
pour of a perfectly poured Guinness or something like that.
You're onto something. I think you're onto hearing the crack of the bat in the background.
Oh my goodness. Someone's just taken live BP in some room nearby. Oh, the catcher's mitt, spoon opening a pack of cards.
I hope that somebody joins this show 5 minutes in and we're just talking about these things with no context. I assume that's how people listen to podcasts. They scroll to a random part of it and start listening. That's maybe that should be our cold open. You might be onto something though.
I just want all those things now. But the new you are right. The smells of the shoes is excellent.
Yeah. And just new kicks. It's a good vibe. Look, there's a few things we do want to touch on. First of all, thanks to everybody on Instagram who sort of flooded our inbox with rule changes that they'd potentially like to see or unsee in baseball. We will talk about that for a second. But last night, as I tend to do, I was just kind of scrolling through baseball Twitter and whatever else. And like you'll see, I don't know if you get as much of these as I do, but you'll just see like these random cards pop up that are like, name the player, and it's like the teams that he played for and the year that he played for them. And so, you try to guess who it was. And like I scrolled through one last night and I knew exactly who it was as soon as I saw it. It was Atlanta 2010 to 2014, St. Louis 2015 and only 2015, which is what gave it away for me. And then Chicago from 2016 to 2022, and then the Dodgers and Houston and San Diego, whatever else. I knew it was Jason Hayward. And I had forgotten about how good a year he had in 2015 with St. Louis and the amount of money that he was commanding in the offseason. I mean, I remember St. Louis threw quite a bit of money at him, but not nearly as much as what the Chicago Cubs did. So it started me down a rabbit hole, and I just started texting you and Spoon about it. And I was like, can we talk about how good Jason Hayward was in 2015 and then just wasn't ever again? Like he had a 7 WAR, which was by far and away the best in his career, aside from his rookie year in Atlanta, when like he was like the next say hey kid, man. Like everybody thought this dude was going to be like the next Hall of Famer. He homered in his first at bat after he was the number 1 overall prospect. Like people in Atlanta were just like, oh my God, we're going to win 1,000 World Series with this guy. It's going to take us back to like, the late 90s Braves category with the big 3 pitchers, Andrew and Chipper and all of that. Right. And he kind of had that trajectory. And then, they traded him to St. Louis for Shelby Miller, and he had a great year in St. Louis. But then the downfall after that, I had forgotten about just how bad he was after he signed that 6-year, $160 million contract with the Cubs. But as you reminded me, that first year with Chicago, 2016, he did win a World Series. So,
playoff numbers in the World Series run?
Do you have them?
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
He hit 110. He was like 5 for 54. Or 5 for 45. 5 for 45.
He fell off a cliff. Like, I mean, that first year in Chicago, he had a WAR of 1. He never had a WAR over 2.5 any of his time in Chicago. And the last year of his contract, he was minus WAR. He hit 204 in only 48 games. Granted, he did have some injury issues, and he was 32 that year. So, I mean, that's the reason why he went after the big contract, because he didn't get called up. I mean, he got called up when he was 20. I think Atlanta extended him past maybe a year or two past arbitration, then knew they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. So that's why they traded him to St. Louis, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, I mean, he signed that big deal when he was 26. So he knew that was going to be his deal. But man, he fell off a cliff. And it's like, he's one of those guys that's in a long line of them that you just kind of forget about. And you remember how good they were when they were young and there was the hype surrounding them. And then they just kind of became nothing. And it's sad because you remember how their careers ended, or the middle parts of their career. And you just wish that guys would have continued on the trajectory that they had when they were young.
Like Vladdy.
Vladdy may be on the list that we're talking about in
A
10
little
years'
too
time.
early to call that one.
Yeah, well, so I mean,
But
it
hey,
did.
like
Well,
Dexter
it did.
Fowler.
Yeah, I mean, Dexter Fowler was one that St. Louis was like, well, we missed out on Hayward. 2 years later, they signed Dexter Fowler. It didn't work out, right? And a lot of guys live up to big contracts. I mean, there are guys that live up to them. I mean, Carl Crawford is one, I guess, that comes to mind that's maybe the closest comparison to Hayward. It was 2010. He was with the Rays. He had a WAR right around 7. He hit 307 that year with 20 homers, 50 stolen bases, won a Gold Glove, was a Silver Slugger. Then he signed that 7-year deal with Boston, which was an absolute disaster. Like, he had 3 straight years with a WAR under 1.
Wow.
And then was finally dumped and went to the Dodgers before that contract with Boston even ended. So 7 years, $142 million. It's kind of comparable to what Hayward got. And you could say that Hayward was probably more successful than Carl Crawford was after that deal. And I think maybe another one specifically around like kind of the hype train would have been Eric Hosmer, right? Remember when Hosmer came up? Because he was part of a team that was in Northwest Arkansas at AA when I was there, and they won a AA championship. I want to say all those guys eventually, look, they won a World Series in Kansas City, but I think they won a championship at single A, AA, AAA, and then won a World Series. And Eric Hosmer, again, was just going to be like the next dude. And then he signed in San Diego. I want to say it was probably after. Yeah, it would have been a year or two after the World Series when they won the World Series. His first 4 years of that deal, it was 8 years, $144 million in San Diego. This was after a 7-WAR season. Combined, first 4 years of that deal in San Diego, his WAR was minus 0.1.
Oof.
And that's why you don't hear about Eric Hosmer anymore, right? Like there's a few of these guys. I mean, you can go up and down. Like BJ Upton to an extent, like Jason Bay is probably one of them. Chris Davis is probably a really good example. Like once Chris Davis got paid, what happened to Chris Davis?
Dude,
It just seems to happen to some guys.
the one that I had, and I put it in the chat last night, that I think is very comparable is Sean Figgins. Remember, like Sean Figgins was slowly getting better, and in 2009, he had a 7.7 WAR season with the LA Angels. He stole 42 bags, he hit 298, he played good defense, he had a good OPS. Then he signs a big ticket with Seattle, and he had a 1.2 WAR in his first year, a minus 0.9 WAR in his second year, and a minus 1.2 WAR in his third year. And then eventually he became a pitcher. Like he was literally a negative 0.9 WAR on that contract combined that he signed after a 7.7 season. That's a pretty crazy big drop off too. I think Hayward, just because of their rivalry and the context, takes its place. I get he did win a World Series. I think that's still top for me, but Sean Figgins is up there. Cal Raleigh, I know he didn't trade teams, man, but that has to be one of the biggest drop-offs too.
Yeah, and I mean I don't know what Cal Raleigh's contract situation is, but it wouldn't be. I mean, he wouldn't be crazy paid, but like he would have been on, like if he had another just comparable season to what he had last year, like he would have been on the path to being paid big time. I mean, what were his figures last year? 7.2 WAR. So I mean, we're talking a comparable season WAR wise as to what Hayward had in his contract year.
I got a good one for you.
Fewer hits this year, as you pointed out to us yesterday, has fewer hits this year than he had home runs all of last year.
If you want to take a look at the baseball reference WAR, the B WAR, in one of the biggest drop-offs of all time, this is the one I found last night as well, was Cal Ripken Jr. In 1991, 11.5 WAR, 323 he hit with a 566 slugging. He had 34 homers. He won the AL MVP, and the next year, 4.1 WAR. So it's not like it was a bad season, but the difference was still a 7.4 drop. Now, the point is he went from like ridiculously unbelievable historical season MVP level to pretty good season. The other guys went from like really good season to terrible.
I just looked it up. Cal Raleigh did get a big contract after last year. I didn't realize this.
What was it?
I can't find the exact figures, but he's on 12 this year. It balloons to 13 next year, then 24 for 28, 29, and 30. And then there's a $20 million vesting option for 2031. So it's about all up probably an $85, $86 million contract for a guy that has, 26 hits this year?
He's got less hits this year than he had homers last year.
Yeah, 51 hits this year, 60 homers last year. Look, he can bounce back. And I mean, like, nobody feels worse about it than Cal Raleigh because, I mean, you keep hearing interviews with him and he's owning it, right? He's just like, I just stink right now. He's like, I don't know what's happening. And it's not as though guys didn't start pitching him differently last year when he was hitting tanks because they were. It's just, it happens to guys sometimes. I mean, they get the yips and they forget how to swing, and some guys can get it back and some can't. But it's the danger of big contract. I mean, Cal Raleigh's another guy that we might be talking about who may even be a worse case than a Jason Hayward, right? To hit 60 home runs and arguably probably should have won the American League MVP award. I know a lot of professional baseball writers that voted in it that sort of thought he was robbed. I mean, Judge, you can claim the New York factor and everything else. Judge certainly deserved to win it, but Cal Raleigh very easily could have won the AL MVP. And if he's not able to get back to somewhere close to where he was, he probably takes the cake on these lists of guys that we're talking about, right?
Next year's the year.
Probably 2028, let's be honest.
2 years is the year.
Well, anyways, look, I just thought it was interesting. Randomly that popped up. And I was like, God, Jason Hayward, he was really, really good. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. There's plenty of guys that fall into that boat. Look, if you were with us earlier in the week on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it was, I don't know. Days come together when you get to be my age. We were talking about the 4th out rule because that had happened in that Boston-Toronto game where the 4th out wasn't actually enacted, but we learned what the 4th out was. So we started talking a little bit about some rule changes that we'd like to see, but the Baseball Expats community has come out in droves because, Eric, you put up a post on Instagram early in the week and sort of asked some of the good people what some of the rule changes they would like to see, and a few of them came in thick and fast.
Yeah, and we also got some just like private messages or text messages too. How about I just read, like, got 6 of them here. How about I just read them out to you? You give me just a couple, I don't want a sentence. I just want like 1 or 2 words reaction, and then you can choose your favorite one, and that's the one we can discuss rather than going in depth. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds fair.
We'll just go in order of what we got them. So the first one was foul tip into the catcher's mitt is an out. It doesn't have to be the 3rd strike. Initial reaction?
Don't mind it.
If we cannot remove the ghost runner in extra innings, move it to first base so they can't just do 2 ground/fly outs and it's a run.
I think if you're going to do it at first base, you might as well not do it.
I like this. I agree with you. Then the one just says get rid of the ghost runner in extra innings, which is, that's not what our intent of the conversation was, but I hear you. The purist is there.
People are angry about the man for man still.
How about this? Random landmines.
Who gave us that, Jim?
Isa Akavant or Isa Kavant? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
Look,
here's a good one.
Some people think baseball's boring. Hopefully not people that tune into this show. But, I mean, putting random landmines on the field may boost viewership. I mean, viewership's been as good as it has been ever this season of Major League Baseball. But, that would probably, anything for a buck, anything for eyeballs, I guess.
I like this one.
I missed that completely.
If 2 outfielders slide into each other full tilt and scissor while one of them catches the ball, that counts as a triple play because he caught 3 balls.
Okay. Has that ever happened in baseball?
Well, I don't know, but the 4th out rule doesn't happen very often.
You imagine guys practicing it in spring training? guys, we're just gonna head to the backfield and try the old 3-out scissor. I mean, imagine, right? Like ball hit into the gap, guys are running toward it. There's runners at first and second base in a 1-run game, and they just They're just like, they have like hand signals. They're like, we're doing this. And just two guys go flying, legs spread, and
How would you call
it's
that?
the end of the inning, I guess. I mean,
Imagine if
I'm
you were
more
in the
interested in how you
broadcast booth.
would. I'm more interested in how you would score it.
Well, how would you call it if you were in the broadcast booth?
I full of confusion. Bit like Dan Shulman on Monday in Toronto.
Imagine the umpire going back to New York and coming back being like, this is MLB rule 5.04 ACB. When two players scissor each other, it becomes a 3-out triple play. That's it. All players off the field. Like, don't give the explanation just like he did.
Goodness, I'm just picturing like Major League 3 style backfield while the pitchers are doing PFP. The outfielders are just off on a backfield doing 3-out practice, scissoring practice. The creativity is it's rampant in the community. It's good.
One more. This was a good one too. Said this. Think along the lines of team fouls in basketball. And this was with the hit by pitch discussion. You can hit 2 guys a game. That's your limit, team fouls. So you can only hit as a team 2 people per game. 3 and beyond, the hitting team gets first base and an extra out in that inning. So let's just say the starter hits 2 in 6 innings trying to pitch inside and gives up 3 runs. Reliever comes in, out hitting, and he's out hitting mascots in the 7th, and has to pitch through 5 outs with the first 2 hitters on and starts an 8-run inning.
Interesting.
So
I actually think I don't know that it would ever happen. And like we're giving really extreme examples for what could happen, but there's potential to do something with the hit by pitch, right? Because it is just such a anticlimactic thing. Like it's like Spoon's ridiculous thought of like, let's spin a wheel and I don't know, everybody gets free tacos, or it's a
Team
4-bag, whatever it is. But like, I mean, we all thought probably 10 years ago that this 2-challenge ABS system sounded ridiculous and would never happen. And I think it's been good for baseball, and it's added a little bit to the theater, and it hasn't made the game slower. So, who's to say that? And again, like hit by pitch probably isn't like guys don't throw at each other as much as they did back in the day, because I think the game's just different. Like guys don't have, probably because a bunch of dudes aren't juiced up and roided out of their brains and just, full of anger and rage. That probably does have something to do with it. But the game has just changed. I mean, guys look out for each other too. You don't see much of it nowadays. So, I wouldn't have any idea how many times 3 guys have been hit in a single game this year. I can't imagine it would be much. So if you're going to do anything with it, it would probably have to be from the first hit by pitch to make it interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't mind the foul concept though. Like if you look at it that way, as in there's a limit, you only have 2 challenges a game. That concept's in there too. One more, actually, I missed one. This one is called the call your shot rule. So what about, this is what this says, word for word. What about one time a game, one guy gets to call his shot for double runs at the start of an AB. If they walk him, the team retains the shot. You could be like, run, Corbin, run. It's like the anticipation of that last hit in the cycle, but it would happen every single game.
Interesting. Well, it's not too dissimilar to kind of the Moneyball or, like the trump card thing that we talked about last week, where at any point you can designate a hitter to hit in that specific spot, or you make this your Moneyball guy and whatever he does counts for double, et cetera, right? I mean, that's been experimented with. Like I know in Baseball United, they did something like it. I should have looked this up during the week when we were talking about it on Tuesday. But I know in Baseball United, they did something like that. I don't know if it was you get to choose the hitter, or if you hit a home run, it's worth double. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they did something like that, and it went off a couple times.
Well, if you are enjoying all this rule chat, watch Banana Ball, because that's where you can find them all. One more to close it out. This one said, "Enough with the rule changes, boys. Roll back some of the new ones that have come in and just play baseball the way it was meant/used to be."
Right. So here's that rule, by the way.
Okay. United
Excuse
Baseball
me.
rule. Let's go.
Yeah. So the money ball, the team manager at any point can declare an at bat worth double the standard runs. So any at bat at one point in the game, you can say this at bat, the result of this at bat, the runs it score would be doubled. So, in essence, if the bases are loaded, you could hit an 8-run home run. So a guy did, I think it was one of the last games of the season, hit a 6-run home run because there were 2 guys on base. They were down 5, runners at first and second base. He hits a home run and they're up 1. So it was a 6-run homer. They had things like this in the old ABA back in the day where it was like a 3-pointer was worth 3, a shot from behind half court was worth 4, and a buzzer beater was worth an extra point. So you could legitimately be down 5 at the buzzer and heave a half court shot and tie the game. So I don't mind stuff like this to allow teams to come from the clouds. And I mean, it worked in Baseball United. I mean, I remember it. I think I even read an article about it on MLB.com whenever it happened, because it just means that
Interesting.
a 6-run game, you feel like it's out of reach, but all of a sudden you get 2 guys on and Aaron Judge comes to the plate and you go, well, we're going to use it here. And even if he doubles and 2 guys score, then you're just down a run. You all of a sudden don't need to load the bases and hit a grand slam and everything else anymore. So something like that, potentially I could see maybe MLB experimenting with in the future.
The potential for big innings is definitely exciting, and it keeps you kind of engaged in the game. It sort of gets me thinking about a foreign time for me. But myself and Chris Adamson, who's the manager of the Giants, manager in AAA right now with Lehigh Valley, he and I started a league in South Australia called the Super League. Now, it was an initiative because you have the local SABL and the ABL, and there's a bit of a gap in between. And obviously, Tank is the coach of the ABL team, so it's in his interest to have somewhere that's not the standard of the SABL, but closer to the ABL. So we played fantasy baseball with real human beings. We got coaches.
I remember it's Super League.
It was amazing. They declared a draft. People didn't get picked. It was a whole thing. But one of the big rules that we had in this was every inning runners started on first and second. Now, I'm not saying this is what I would want for a rule change for baseball in general, because the intent of this rule was all about developing players. Now, what can you learn about a player in those situations? Well, how do they hit and execute with runners on first and second? What do you learn defensively? How do you deal with pressure? What about when you're a pitcher? How do you hold runners? How do you go through these scenarios? And then when you get to the ABL and you have international rules tiebreakers, you're kind of already practicing that. But I loved it. I loved starting with runners on first and second because so many outcomes were possible. We never had one, but we came dangerously close to a couple triple plays, bunch of double plays. Different teams were bunting. Different teams were walking guys. Sometimes games were, it was 8-1, and then runners start on first and second, and then one guy gets a hit, the next guy gets a hit, and then someone hits a home run, and all of a sudden, things start spiraling. So I do really, really like the idea of things counting double or anything that puts more traffic and pressure on the base paths, because that's when the most exciting baseball happens, is when defenses are forced to make a play or guys have to execute under pressure, just like that home run derby, right? He had to keep hitting homers on that last ball. You call your shot and things are worth double, you have to get it done. I like that text from the listener too, saying, hey, if I call double, it's worth a run. Like, that's kind of a cool rule. So I don't mind those ones that allow you to execute under pressure. Is my story within a story.
It's I potentially think it's something that Major League Baseball could look at, and I mean, obviously, it's something that they would start in the American Association, because it seems like now we know that's the only reason why they created that relationship with the American Association, so they could use them as a rules guinea pig. But it's a win-win for both leagues, right? And then if they like it, they'll move it into the minor leagues. If that works, they'll then move it into spring training, and if that works, they'll move it into regular season and postseason games in Major League Baseball. So I don't necessarily think that it's too far-fetched to think that something like that could happen. I just watched that clip, actually. It was Pablo Sandoval of all
No
people, who was the
way,
one who
Big
hit the
Panda?
6-run. Yeah, who hit the 6-run home run in Baseball United.
No.
It's I'll send you the clip, and maybe I'll add it to the episode description so the listeners can go watch it as well.
Wasn't
Look,
Mooney playing in that league?
dude, there were a lot of random guys playing in that league. It was like if the games had been at a time that was decent enough for me to watch, I probably would have watched a sickening amount of Baseball United. But the games were on at like nighttime in the Middle East, so it was like the middle of the night here. So it was kind of
And
difficult to
ABL
watch.
season.
And it was during ABL season. Look, speaking of international baseball, because Spoon's not here, we can't do tips, and like I said, we don't know how to land this plane. Give us some updates on what's happening in the international baseball world before we bid people adieu for the weekend.
I'll keep this quick, but I've been kind of making an intention of trying to follow a lot more what's going on in the world. So I thought if I found it interesting, maybe you would find it interesting too, or maybe you already know, or maybe a listener wants to know. But you can drive this ship. I've got 3 different brackets we could go into to start. Rolsey, would you like to start in Korea, Japan, or the WPBL?
Ooh.
We're going all 3. You're just choosing the order.
You know what? It's Women's World Cup group stage number 2 starts next weekend in Taiwan. I'll be there. So let's start in the WPBL.
Oh man. So first off, it's kind of turning into a fun little competition. There's obviously 4 teams. Everybody's either 3-2 or 2-3, but there's a lot of drama in this league already. Boston have already fired their manager, so there's already a managerial change.
After 5 games, he made some weird comments about like trying to ease into the season and not needing to try too hard early or something because everybody makes the playoffs. I think he actually was stood down because of some family things, but
Yeah.
the timing of it was just odd that he came out and like said a bunch of weird stuff. And everybody's like, that's kind of a strange thing to say. And then he was sacked the next day.
But quick shout out to the Aussies first off. Takara Heldenhays today, by the way, I was watching this. Awesome. It was so cool. I was so proud watching this as an Aussie. She had 3 doubles in a 6-1 win over New York today. That was awesome to see an Aussie clutch up like that. And it's creating all sorts of really cool stories where these women get to become heroes on national TV. None bigger than Danae Benitez. What on earth do you do with her if you're facing her? She's played 5 games. She's got 5 homers and 15 RBIs. So what do you do with her? Like, if she's coming up to bat, do you even bother pitching to her?
Well, I mean, when Barry Bonds was Barry Bonds, he once was intentionally walked with the bases loaded, right?
So if it's bases loaded and you are up by 2 runs and Benitez is up to bat,
you're not going to give her a chance to beat you. No chance.
Would you walk her if it was a 1-run game and tie it up? Probably not.
I probably wouldn't, but I mean, there may be managers that do. I mean, depending on what the matchup is after that, I guess depending on how many outs there are. You know, if there's nobody out, you're probably if there's nobody out, you're probably not doing that because you're just asking for a big inning. But if there's 2 outs and you know that her hair's on fire, you'd rather the game be tied than be standing at a 1, 2, or 3-run deficit.
Other Aussies, Caitlin Inan's been getting some time. Claire O'Sullivan got her visa sorted, so she's been 3 for 5. She had a win the other day for New York. And Molly Pattison, the business, the 18-year-old Queenslander, nicknamed the business, by the way, because she is all business. Like from the moment
has that caught on at all?
It has caught on.
Okay,
the business
right.
And business is booming in the WPBL. She's 7 for 14. This 18-year-old kid from Queensland. So go the business. That's your WBPL update. Fun competition, really close. Takara balled out. Business is booming, and never, ever, 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 ever throw a ball anywhere remotely near the strike zone if you're facing Danae Benitez.
Just a question on that WPBL, because there are Japanese and Korean players playing in that league.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Japan and Korea are participating in a World Cup qualifier. Or, well, Japan is anyways. Korea's not. Or is Korea in that group? I don't think they are. It's Japan and Chinese.
It's just
Taipei.
Japan, yeah, because Korea has played in the last one.
Right. What are those Japanese players going to do? Are any of them World Cup worthy. I mean, this is the problem sometimes with these WBSC events is that you don't actually get the rosters until a day or two before because there's all passport control and stuff like that. So they don't publicly release the rosters.
I think
I mean,
Japan
I've
just
gotten a
did. This
glimpse.
would have like literally breaking news. Like I think in the last 24 hours, Japan announced their roster.
So I wonder, I mean, players that obviously are playing in the WPBL and potentially will have to jump over for a week and then jump back to the WPBL. When does the playoff start for that league?
In September, but I'm trying to find where I thought maybe they didn't drop their roster.
I've seen a preliminary roster, but it's not official. So I don't.
Oh, she has dropped the roster.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at it now.
There may not be any crossover again because I don't think there is. Yeah, so I hadn't seen. And I mean, look, a lot of the high profile Japanese players are going to be playing in Japan, obviously. But I just wasn't sure if there was anybody that had hopped over to the WPBL that would have to leave mid-season to go play in a 5-game tournament only to return for the postseason. But I imagine that probably most of the Japanese players stayed in Japan because, I mean, their mini camp for this tournament probably would have started before the WPBL even started.
Yeah, and people like Sato are no longer there. Oh, I think there are a couple. No, there were some that were drafted, but none that are playing, it looks like. Right. I'm just trying to recognize the name. There's some good, I mean, Japan's world number 1 for a reason. Next, when do you fly out for that?
Thursday night.
You're going to have to, I'm not going to be there on the next Tuesday show. I'll be there for Destiny Draft on Monday, but Tuesday I won't be here. I'm going to need you to drop me a couple lines about this once you get deep in the prep about this tournament.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things on the list for this weekend, so it's good to know that Japan publicly dropped that roster because it can be a thing of difficulty sometimes with World Cups because, like I said, the official rosters oftentimes aren't revealed until 48 hours before once passport control and all that does its thing. But yeah, it'll definitely be on my list this weekend to go through and have a look.
So I'm looking now. Japan only returned 7 players from their World Championship roster 2 years ago. That's why they're the best, man.
That's why they're the best.
That's why they're the best. There's no, you won it for us 2 years ago. It's where are you at right now? And they've done this before. This isn't a new thing for Japan or Japanese baseball. The loyalty is to your country and who is performing right now. This is performance business.
Well, let's stay in Japan. What news do you have from there?
Well, it is turning into a fun little race as we end up at the end of the season. I've been trying to figure out what's going on. Well, I've been focusing on 2 teams, seeing what's going on. First off, how about Oryx Buffaloes right now? They're 500. They're in the midst of a race. Have you seen a split like this before, man? They're 34-14 at home and 18-38 on the road. They are 20 games above 500 at home and 20 games below on the road. I cannot find anybody, even in the MLB. You can find guys that are that bad on the road, but generally they're a bad team. So the question is, who are Oryx? Are they as good as they are at home, or are they bad as they are on the road? I found that split interesting. Have you seen much like that?
No, that's wild.
Crazy stat.
I wonder what you chalk that up to, because that is crazy.
Yeah, like, because that home record's outstanding, the road record's terrible. I get it. How about this for a little tip of the cat? Atsushi Katsumata. Remember him? Remember that name?
Yeah.
He is 3rd in the NPB in batting average right now. He played in the ABL.
Yeah, he did. He was good in the ABL.
He was good in the ABL, so that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the star that the world probably doesn't know, but Japan certainly does, Teruyuki Sato, following up his 40 home run season. This year, he's 2nd in the league with 27 homers. Morishita is top of the league in homers with 28. So the Tigers have 2 of the top 3. There's another guy mixed in there. Those 2 guys in the middle of the Hanshin Tigers lineup who have surged up the standings and are now in first place have combined for 55 homers in the quote-unquote dead ball era in Japan. So, if you're wanting to just watch a game and Google a little bit of things, first off, Chiba Latte, the Marines are playing a bit of an exciting brand right now, but if you want to watch the Hanshin Tigers, who have just gone all in on this kind of power game, which isn't always traditional in Japan, Sato and Morishita bombing away right now.
I haven't looked at the standings. How are Fukuoka going, the Hawks, SoftBank? Because I saw Levon Moinello, like he'd been out all season with like left shoulder
He's coming
soreness.
back.
No, he did. He came back and threw 6 scoreless innings in his return.
Yeah.
They beat
they're good,
Chivas 16-2 earlier in the week. Because I remember, I think we might have even talked about Levon Moinello earlier in the year. Like the career that he's created in Japan, like as a Cuban, he's played 10 years and he has a career ERA that's south of 2. Like he's outrageous, and he's like 5'8", 150 pounds. Like he's not a big dude, but
they're the
it's
best
just
team in the league.
it's so. Oh, okay. Well, then that's an even bigger boon, that the fact that they can get Moinello back, but the fact that he can not play the entire year and then come back and throw 6 scoreless innings against a team like Chiba, who you were just talking about, that's playing such a fun brand of baseball. It sounds like shut the gate, because SoftBank's going to win another title.
My tab isn't loading, but I am pretty sure they're 30 games above 500.
Cool. That team is
66
like,
and 37. I was close.
Everybody calls the Tokyo Giants the New York Yankees of the NPB, just because they play in Tokyo, I guess. And like Fukuoka is certainly not as sexy of a place to play, but like the SoftBank Hawks are the benchmark in that competition and have been for the last 15 years.
Yep. But no, I'm just pulled it up now from the splits. Oh my goodness, dude. Oryx have the best home record and the worst away record. Oh no,
Love
Rakuten have them on away, but barely. Wow, that's crazy. I haven't seen much like that. So that's my update from Japan.
I would love to see, and this is a completely different conversation, but maybe one day you and I will be a part of it, but I would love to see regular English-speaking broadcasts and coverage of the MPB, because it is such a fun league that can be so hard to follow just because of the language barrier. I mean, I could just, keep my Duolingo streak going and learn Japanese, but I tend to fall on my face after 4 or 5 days every time that I start. But I would just love to see more English coverage and regular English coverage. I mean, obviously, shout out to a lot of the guys that do
Yuri,
English coverage. Yeah, I mean, we've had him on the show, and he's fantastic. But it takes an army to be able to get English speakers interested in Japan. And I mean, selfishly, because we're in Australia, the time zone would work out well. Where if it's easily accessible and you can watch in English, I mean, you'd have primetime baseball all summer, basically, right? So,
in the morning. Oh my goodness! Americans could experience what it's like watching baseball in the morning. It's
well, it would be like COVID, right? Remember whenever ESPN was covering KBO games during COVID, whenever the KBO came back. So, just something that I would love to see that may or may not ever happen, but I would just love for people to understand the joy and coolness that is the NPB. And I think the only way that could happen worldwide is if it was more accessible to English speakers.
I am quite a regular reader of Jason Koskry. He writes with the Japan Times, so it's an English writing newspaper based in Tokyo, and there's obviously a big English audience there. I find his writing and storytelling really, really intriguing. He covers more than just baseball, but he wrote a great story. I'll have to find it. I'll send it to you, about an earthquake that happened and how the baseball community that rallied around that. He wrote a fascinating story about Rintaro Sasaki and the whole thing about him not going for the NPB draft and going to the MLB and the college way instead. And he wrote a story, believe it or not, about Pacific League, one of the 2 leagues in Japan that make up the NPB. Their marketing channel, it was maybe earlier this week, about their efforts that they're trying to make the game more accessible overseas. So that is their goal, because there's all these really cool highlights like Chusei's laser arm throw from the right. But yeah, PLM, Pacific League TV, that's what they want to do, is they want to try to eventually go in the future to try to do these games. So maybe you and I need to get on that. I actually have a story written about me on Pacific League TV, by the way, who own the rights for this. So maybe I can use my celebrity status. I've got a cartoon made about me.
I have a printout of a screenshot of that cartoon sitting on my entertainment unit in front of my TV. My wife still doesn't understand.
Views.
Yeah, my wife still doesn't understand why it's there, and I don't either. But it's there. So if you ever visit my house, you can see
Dingo
Eric
in it too.
Not no, it's just you on the phone or something, looking excitable.
I have
don't
one
know.
that's
I'd have
like
to go grab
someone
it.
printed one out. It's like Dingo consoling me.
Well, look, let's try and land this plane. Take us to Korea finally, and let us know what's happening there.
I don't have much other than it was just condolences for one of your boys, Andrew Reynolds. I believe you have shared a beverage with him at your local pub as well. Unfortunately, shoulder injury for Lachlan Wells on the LG Twins. He's going to be shut down for 4 weeks. Should be back in time for the finals. I think it was a shoulder rotator from what I can see. So that kind of sucks. But that's just one. Pour one out for the local, the true local, the ones you have a pint with at the pub.
Yeah, he was having a good season too. So hopefully, if he can come back by the time the playoffs come around, he can be back in form because he was having a great season.
Yeah, I hope so too. And LG are in a bit of a race as well. So that was my kind of updates.
Here's the photo that I have of you that you sent me.
Oh, am I consoling Dingo?
I think that might be what's happening, and you're saying some things in Japanese.
What am I saying in Japanese? Will my translator work through the screen?
I don't know. I'll translate it and send it back to you. But it does look like you. This isn't a YouTube podcast. It should be. So this is great for the people listening and can't see anything. We'll post a photo of the photo of Eric consoling the great Dave Nielsen.
This feels a lot like I don't know if you listened to the latest Auntie Donna podcast, Comedic Geniuses.
I did not. I
gave
up after 30 minutes of Street Fighter.
Well, this was 30 minutes of straight fire. So they were singing, and at one point, Broden is eliminated from the competition. So he takes his headsets off and leaves the area and can see the guys singing songs, but he can't hear the backing track to it all. And he was like, this was more of the experiences I've ever had in my entire life. And now they've released a whole episode where you can just have no backing track. You just get the raw audio of it. And it's like the uncut version of it, which is kind of hilarious. But that kind of feels a little bit like this, just holding things up to the screen.
That's pretty good. It's like what our partners probably get whenever we record these shows, right? They can't hear you or Spoon or me. It's like a man talking to himself, and the voices in his head talking back at him.
Well, on the theme of Spoon, everybody, you did come here for the weekend pickoff, which is a short, snappy 20-minute show about picks for the weekend.
Has it ever been that? That's what it was supposed to be. I don't know that it's ever been that. Certainly not today.
Well, if you've made it this far, welcome to the end of weekend pickoff. I don't really gamble, so I have nothing for you. So, yeah, I mean, that was it. I got no tips. Follow Spoon. That's my tip. My tip is to follow Spoon.
Yeah, I told you without Spoon here, we wouldn't know how to land the plane. So at the end of this sentence, Eric and I are just going to stop speaking, and that's going to be the end of the show.